that pizza looked fire.
Eat a Pop-Tart for the Pop-Tart
Dude,
bowl.
the best pizza is like
I'm ready.
like skating rink bowling alley fire.
Okay.
Look, just
I
Yeah.
bet their pizza slaps, honestly.
I didn't go. I didn't get to go.
Oh, that's right.
Oh,
You were
skating
out
club.
of town on the
Yeah.
work trip.
Skating part.
You said it was not fun.
I can't stand it.
Do you
I
not know how to roller skate?
I hadn't roller skated in a long time, and I didn't like it when I did when I was a kid. And I put them on. I was like, all right, I'll do it for a second. I didn't remember it being that hard.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah,
like,
dude,
get
like,
me out of here.
I hadn't done it since elementary school, so like I had that like stupid little walker the whole time because
Oh, see, I wouldn't do that.
I had seen what happened to Josh on his, and I was like, I don't want that to be me.
He's got to fall a long ways too,
Well, so do I. He's like an inch or two taller.
Yeah, I
than
was
me.
gonna say they're both pretty tall individuals.
especially with skates on.
Yeah, so like I watched him with that like Wile E. Coyote running off the edge type fall, and I was like, that could be me.
Well, anyway, hey guys, welcome back to the set. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Today's episode 5.
Yeah.
I believe it's 5. We got a really good one in store. We got 2 amazing people, 2 great friends of ours who we went and saw this movie together with. We have, go ahead and introduce your name.
I'm Peyton.
Yep, and we have,
And I am Sam.
all right. And so I would say these two, when in conjunction with Levi, love Sonic. And so today we're talking about the hit movie of December, in my opinion, Sonic 3, which came out, what was it, December 20th. But yeah, before we get into that, let's, how was y'all's weekend?
It's good.
It's good? Anything
Yeah.
fun?
Just church with my boys today.
Yeah,
There you
that
go.
sounds good.
Yeah.
Some Longhorn Steakhouse.
That's right. That was like an hour ago.
For those of you that like the Tombstone episode, you should give the next 2 episodes a lot of love because I don't know why Tombstone's like at 800 views for some reason. But we're gonna ask our guests here what their top movies are, top 5 movies. We're gonna start with Peyton since he probably only has seen 5 movies in his life. I'm kidding, but start
He's
with number
not.
5.
Well, first I want to congratulate you 2 on hitting it big with the Tombstone episode because that allowed you to get 2 big time guests
Oh.
Sam and I on the
Keanu
podcast.
Reeves in studio.
That's right.
Growing your audience.
Yeah. So let's see. I feel like for my number 5, I don't know if it like how much it deserves a spot, but I'd probably go with the first Sonic movie.
That's fair.
Well, and my reasoning for it is that movie was doomed to fail once they revealed Ugly Sonic, and
It was bad.
Ugly Sonic.
yeah, it was terrible, especially as a longtime fan because that was supposed to come out in 2019, and that was during the tail end of a period where Sonic was really just kind of a joke of a franchise, and instead that movie ended up like spurring a revival of Sonic. And to their credit, they brought in a guy, Tyson Hess is his name, who is loved in the community. He was like a consultant on that redesign.
Oh.
So they took this disgusting creature and turned it into it's recognizably Sonic, but it's also its own thing.
And now we have potentially 4 movies.
Yeah, and that's
confirmed 4 movies.
yeah, and that's
Oh, yeah.
that's the craziest thing. Like the arc of that movie, it's just wild. It's like they revealed Jim Carrey as Dr. Robotnik, and that seemed like a terrible choice because it's like that's not what Dr. Eggman is. But the story ended up being really good, where it's like an origin story for both Sonic and Eggman.
Oh yeah.
Like as the course of that movie goes on, he goes from just being like a weird guy to having the personality of Dr. Eggman.
It also, in my opinion, broke the movie or video game movie curse.
Oh, it did, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like you could kind of argue Detective Pikachu did like 2 or 3 years before.
Ryan Reynolds carried that movie hard.
Yeah. But yeah, that movie was just so good. Like it's crazy knowing how much I like it, how badly it would have bombed if they had not listened to the fans and redesigned Sonic. Because
Dang.
it's the plot is not adapted from a game.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
that's an original
its own,
story
like, original
with Sonic
script,
in
yeah.
it, which I think just worked really well. And there were lots of little references here and there to the games, which was cool. So that's my number 5.
Sam,
I can't wait to see the other 4 of that.
Well, that's probably the one I have the most to talk about.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's his number 5.
So Sam, what is your number 5?
So I don't have too much to talk about for mine. So pretty quick. Number 5 for me is Thor Ragnarok.
That's
Yeah,
solid.
that's good.
That's my favorite Marvel movie. It's just I think it's a good amount of humor and action, good storyline. I think Taika Waititi is he's a great director.
I don't think you can go wrong with that. Like, I just think that one's just good.
Yeah,
that one's so good.
And it's just like I feel like the set every setting just has a good color scheme.
I was about to say the color scheme.
Well, and
nice to look at.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that was my number 5.
It's a good choice.
Peyton, your number 4.
Okay, my number 4. I might go Terminator 2.
Okay,
That's a good movie.
yeah, classic.
That's good. I just watched Terminator 1 for the first time.
We'll have to watch 2.
Not long ago.
2's fantastic.
Michael,
You haven't seen 2?
I haven't seen 2. I mean, I know.
The storyline.
Yeah.
I mean, I know what's T-1000 or anything.
Well, yeah. So the T-1000 is like the shape-shifting liquid metal one.
And he's good rather than, or Arnold's good rather than bad.
Well, because it's a different T-800 that had been reprogrammed to defend Sarah Connor rather than kill her. But that was a really good movie.
But even watching the first one, I was like, this is a good 80. Like, no wonder who directed that? Freaking
James Cameron.
James Cameron. I'm like, no wonder
he did the first 2.
Popped off. This movie's actually really good.
The second one is like more culturally acclaimed, but the first one's one of the only movies to get 100% on Rotten Tomatoes.
You told me that when I told you I'd watched it for the first time.
Yeah, the first one's good. The only
the second one better though.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
that's what everyone said.
The only thing that the first one just does poorly is like whenever like the scene where the T-800 you like see its metal eye, it's like very clearly not a real man. Like it looks
the
like
prosthetics
rubber,
are pretty rough.
But it's like that movie was in the 80s.
Yeah.
Because I think Terminator 2 was like 91 or 92, something like that.
Yeah.
So, and it's just crazy seeing the leap in special effect quality in that second movie. Her son, who is like the like destined hero of like stopping Judgment Day, he's got to be defended. And there's just some really good lines in it too. Like my favorite, so I don't spoil it for you since you haven't seen it, is your foster parents are dead.
Oh yeah, so something we also should preface is Peyton is a master voice actor, which you'll probably get some when we get into the movie because he does a lot. It's crazy. I don't know how he does it. So yours was so far as Sonic 1 and then Terminator 2. Sam, what's your number 4?
Yeah, so my number 4 is Shrek.
That's a good movie.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that kind of explains itself. Just ogre, donkey, like great movie, and it's for an animated movie, it's got good adult humor in it.
You can rewatch it as an adult.
And Duloc, it's a perfect place.
Yeah, Duloc's a perfect place. You got the old villain short guy,
Lord Farquaad.
Yeah,
some of you may die.
Yeah, he's a great villain too. He's like one of my top villains. She's got that short man syndrome, but it's Shrek's a good movie. I feel like Shrek is like universally beloved.
Oh yeah.
So that's one of my favorite animated movies. Not my top. I have another animated movie that's higher than this that you'll find out about here in a second.
Soon enough.
Shrek's my number 4.
Okay.
Let's see. For 3, I'm probably gonna go with Tron Legacy.
Thank God.
That movie is just that movie's awesome.
My roommate from Auburn is just kicking and screaming right now.
It's incredible.
Well, I saw that movie before I ever saw the first one. I only saw the first one because I liked the second one so much. And soundtrack's amazing. The like visual design of that movie is awesome.
Insane.
It's so cool. It like everything other than de-aging Jeff Bridges holds up very well.
Give him a break because we weren't there at that time. Like we didn't have that technology, but as far as like the outfits actually have lights in them, LEDs in them.
It's so cool.
Set designs are crazy.
Yeah.
Daft Punk did the music. I have that whole album on vinyl because it's an incredible soundtrack.
Yeah, they did. I love Daft Punk. They did a good job.
My buddy Jake loves Daft Punk, and when I told him like we will always talk about how good that soundtrack was, but
yeah, and it's so cool the way like you've got Kevin Flynn who creates this copy of himself to aid him in managing the system, and then he turns on him because their thoughts deviate on what the perfect system looks like, and the central like reason for that is because as Kevin Flynn ages, his perspective can change, but Clue, his copy, will never age, and so he's always stuck in the moment that he was created in, essentially. So I really enjoy that movie.
Great movie.
Yeah. I think there's supposed to be a 4K release coming out this year. If that's a real thing, then
Who has got a 4K TV here?
yeah.
You do?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
We'll watch it in 4K, man. But yeah, that movie's really good.
Okay, so Peyton's number 3, Tron Legacy. Sam, what's your number
Yeah,
3?
my number 3, my favorite animated movie of all time, really since I was a little kid, is The Lion King.
Yes, great.
And obviously the cartoon Lion King. The live action ones just can't capture the magic.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we see that playing out in real time with the box office.
Yeah, especially
Sonic
right
3
now.
versus
versus
Mufasa. Yeah.
The Lion King. I love the whole story. I mean, I know it's the kind of the basis of it is pretty much Shakespeare's Hamlet.
Yeah.
Simba, his uncle kills his father, and Simba runs away blaming himself, thinking it's his fault, and then kind of comes back, returns, defeats his uncle, becomes the glorious king. It's a beautiful story.
And one of the greatest soundtracks ever.
Yeah, and
incredible
it gave
soundtrack.
us Hakuna Matata. I mean,
Yeah.
what a wonderful phrase.
Not it.
Peyton, what's your number 2, man?
Okay, number 2. I'm going to go with Captain America the Winter Soldier, which is a fantastic movie. That was one where, when I saw it in theaters, I knew, right then, that was an amazing movie. I knew it wasn't, recency bias. But, yeah, just such a cool movie. The shots on it, the cinematography is awesome. The fight choreography is great.
Is something that stands out.
And it's just really cool seeing, Captain America, but in, a spy thriller type movie.
I was going to say, the whole setting, the aesthetic is this spy thriller, but it's also, this is a superhero movie.
Yeah.
And so, but it just, I don't know, you're right, it works so well in that movie.
Well, and it also was in this era of Marvel where the comedy didn't feel forced. In the opening of the movie, you have the joke with Black Widow and Captain America where she's asking him about a date that he's maybe going to ask a receptionist out on. Meanwhile, they're seconds away from boarding an enemy ship or a ship that Hydra had hijacked.
Yeah.
But it's a far cry from Marvel movies now, where it's every second there's some joke being crammed down your throat.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate.
But yeah, I love that movie though, and clearly the people working on these Sonic movies love it too, because that movie has been referenced so many times.
Yeah, it
had a reference in Sonic 2 where they're skating down the ice cap and Sonic sees Knuckles coming. He's like, "Oh look, it's the Winter Soldier." But then in Sonic 3, there's a lot of references to it too that we'll probably talk about in a bit, because I made note of them.
I was gonna say. Sam, number 2.
Number 2, I got to go with Top Gun Maverick.
It's my number 2.
That's good.
Let's go.
I mean, I think that movie. I know that movie saved the movie theater.
It sure
Oh,
did.
yeah.
It sure did.
Saved the movie theater. I saw it I think 5 times in theaters.
Yeah, good. Give him more money.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just the way the movies were shot, the fact that they were actually in these planes, and the fact that they had to undergo basically Navy SEAL training, the actors did, to prepare for it. Super heartfelt. I love how they brought back Iceman, because even though Val Kilmer's not in the best health, they found a way to bring him back.
Yeah.
That was a super. I teared up a little bit during that. I mean, Miles Teller killed it.
It was very tasteful the way they brought him back.
Very tasteful.
Jennifer Connelly.
And the whole third act of that
God.
movie was nuts. Super feel good. I mean, you walk away from that movie feeling just happy. At
the time, it felt just like America's movie. When it came out, I felt like everyone in America was watching it. That's why, I had a conversation with somebody in the past about this, but it doesn't feel like live television is no longer a thing, right? So this community of everybody's watching the same thing is kind of gone, and so I feel like that movie though changed that, and I feel like everyone I talked to was Dude, have you seen Top Gun Maverick? It's
Yeah.
incredible.
It's
And
such
like,
a good movie.
Like everyone had watched it,
Yeah.
and you're just like, there's this camaraderie with everyone in the world.
Yeah,
in
like
the
even,
US.
even people that like didn't know about it before, like weren't familiar with the first movie, they were like, "Oh my gosh, this
It's
movie
good.
is
Yeah,
incredible."
well, I went back and watched the first one because I liked
Yeah.
Maverick so much. I feel bad for snubbing it now because it's not my number one. Yeah,
It's personal favorites.
Yeah, well, I mean, what a great movie that was, though. I remember like seeing it in theaters. I like to go see movies up in Fayetteville, Tennessee, at this real small theater. That's like from the 50s. It's been restored. It's really cool. And when I saw that movie there, they had that intro where it's Tom Cruise and I think the director of the movie, like thanking fans for coming out after such a long wait. And I just remember when that like shut off and the movie was about to come on, there was like an older couple behind me who was like, "That was so sweet of him to do that for us." I was just like,
well, they did it for Sonic 3 too.
that's true. I don't think it held the same weight.
But I'm saying, I don't know. I do appreciate, like stuff like that. Like, especially with that movie, like because they delayed it, I think, for a little while, and everyone was kind of like, I wonder if it's. But I think I remember reading like Tom Cruise wanted to have it COVID kind of get past before he could.
Because 2022 was like the revival of movies. Like 2020 and 2021 were so down. 2022 was a great year for me.
Yeah.
And
2026 is gonna be insane. Have you seen the lineup for 2026?
If we make it there.
No, we will.
I also do want to mention the soundtrack.
Hans Zimmer.
Yeah, Hans Zimmer and Harold Faltermeyer,
him
the
too.
original composer.
Kenny Loggins.
Incredible.
Well, I think they both did this one too.
Yeah, they
which
both
is awesome.
collaborated on this.
I'm going to see Hans Zimmer.
Awesome. In Nashville?
Yeah.
I wanted to go to that, but I'm going to be in Boston, so I can't go.
It's gonna be
Dang.
That's
insane.
going to be awesome.
Chandler bought enough tickets. Like, if you want to hop in on that.
I'll have to,
Chandler bought a whole row.
I'll be mid-wedding in New England during that.
You have it on your phone, though.
I'll send you a video.
Right. Yeah, send me a video.
Yeah.
All right.
FaceTime me in.
All right, Sam. So, what's your number one movie?
Yeah, my number one movie is The Shawshank Redemption.
Oh, let's go.
Yeah, never seen it.
My dad's just.
Dude, me neither. We have so much in common.
Great.
Oh, I didn't
That's
know
a movie you guys have
I know.
to watch.
I've heard
highest
it's
rated movie ever.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
Highest rated movie ever on IMDb.
See, I'll give it a shot on like Dune.
Yeah, it's it's a Stephen King book originally.
I didn't know
forget
that.
Yeah, main actors is Tim Robbins and Morgan Freeman. So, and it's just I think the reason why I like it so much is it's a beautiful story of hope, because Tim Robbins' character Andy, he gets falsely imprisoned for murdering his wife when he wasn't actually the one that did it. In prison for 10 years, and he ends up spending in prison for 20 years, ends up spending 20 years like with a tiny pickaxe slowly like tunneling his way. And I know I'm kind of spoiling it for you, but like everybody knows
Oh, I know it gets out.
Everybody knows the ending, yeah. Ends up getting out. It's a beautiful story of hope, and a metaphor that I like is, so he, when he crawls out of the prison, he crawls through, what was it, 500 yards of just sewage through a tunnel in order to like finally get out.
Yeah.
And I think crawling, just crawling. Sometimes you gotta crawl through shit to make it out. I think that's a great metaphor. But yeah, beautiful movie, and the ending, the final ending, where him and Morgan Freeman's character is Red, when they reunite at the end, it's like, it makes me cry every time.
Don't tell them where they reunite at.
Great movie.
Yeah.
It's not Subway.
No, it's not.
No.
Okay.
All right.
No, it's Jimmy John's.
Peyton, what's your number one?
Well, it's probably not going to come as any surprise, but Sonic the Hedgehog 3
What?
recently dethroned Captain America: The Winter Soldier.
Oh, so you just bumped everything down?
Yeah.
Probably so.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many things, like, Jurassic Park, the first one, Jurassic World, the first one. There's a lot of honorable mentions that I could bring up, but yeah, Sonic 3, it's this is the movie, and Sam can probably back me up. I've wanted this movie like since childhood. Like this movie is an adaptation of Sonic Adventure 2 for the Dreamcast, which is a really fantastic game. It's my favorite game in the Sonic franchise. Been playing it since the early 2000s, and it's just got such a cool story. Shadow the Hedgehog was introduced in that game. Really cool character. He's got this mystery about him that slowly unravels as the game goes on. And so I think this movie was a brilliant adaptation of that to the big screen. And, you know, it continues the momentum of the first two movies where, like you said, they broke the video game curse. And it just capitalized on that. And unlike the first two where, you know, the pacing could be a little bit iffy, this one's pretty much all gas the whole time. Mm-hmm. Like, it gives you what you wanted if you were a longtime fan. Mm-hmm. But I think it's also got a lot of cool stuff that, like, kids would enjoy to bring new fans in.
Yeah, I think it does balance that very well, like old fans, new fans.
Yeah, and you know, they, from the very first scene of the movie, they let you know that this one they've learned from the previous two. Like, one of the biggest criticisms of the first two movies is there's not enough game music. And Sonic is a franchise that is known for how good the music was. Mm-hmm. Like, even in Sonic's darkest eras, the music was always really good. And so the first movie, it had a piano cover of Green Hill right at the very end. And that was good. But otherwise, it's just like superhero movie music. Mm-hmm. The second movie, they faked us out in the trailer with a really awesome cover of the first level of Sonic 2. That was not in the movie. So in this one, I think they knew that they had to get game music in for this one, because Live and Learn, the main theme of Sonic Adventure 2, is probably the most iconic song from the entire franchise. And so they let you know right away, like, we've heard you loud and clear. The movie opens with a character playing Live and Learn on an acoustic guitar. And so it's like, movie starts, you hear that, and it's just, you know, it's going to be an awesome movie. Like, I'm in for a good time. I remember turning to my friend Heath, who was beside me, just like jaw dropped. I was like, they actually did it. And
here we go.
Yeah, so this movie was fantastic.
That little guitar piece.
Yeah, like,
that was a beautiful foreshadowing of what was to come.
Yes, because at the time you don't know who's playing that.
Yeah.
Brilliant movie.
All right, so let's just go right into the movie. We're going to do, we're skipping their actors for time, but we're going to go straight into the movie because I think we're itching to talk about it. I can see Payne over here scratching his...
I'm tweaking.
He's tweaking,
I'm tweaking, bro.
So we're going to go straight into it, just giving you the good stuff. So we're going to give our overall thoughts. We're going to start with Levi.
Yeah.
What's your overall thoughts of this movie?
I gave it a 4 out of 5. I think it's the best one in the franchise by far.
Yeah, hands down. Yeah. It's great. Sam?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's peak. It's everything I could have hoped for. Going into it, I was wondering how they were going to adapt, Sonic Adventure 2, because I know that you can't do it, like, you can't perfectly adapt it. There's a lot that they were going to have to change. But I think they did a beautiful job of adapting the video game to the big screen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right there with you. I think in terms of December lineups, like, movies have come out in December, I have not seen Nosferatu, so I can't compare it to, or like put it on the level yet. But I saw the Bob Dylan movie. I thought that was a really good movie. But to me, I had a fun time with this movie. I don't know if it was just the atmosphere of all of us going, or if I don't know if it's just the movie, but like I just genuinely had a good time with this movie. I think in terms of animated movies, like, I'm telling this as somebody who hit this table who's not a Sonic fan growing up, but I maybe played Mario and Sonic at the Winter Olympic Games on my DS, maybe like twice. But I can tell you, I always liked playing a Sonic in those games because I just thought he was cool. But as a non-Sonic fan going into this, I think if you're just looking for a fun movie to go to, I think this is a great option to go to right now, because I don't think you have to be a diehard fan. Like, I think you get, like you said, I think you get the story of Sonic Adventures 2 in this movie. Maybe not perfectly adapted and beautifully as the way the game does it, but like at least in a way that's a good bite-sized bit to just sit down for like an hour. Is it 2 hours?
Yeah, it's right about 2.
Right at around 2 hours, and just get the whole story. So, I loved it. I gave it a 4.5 out of 5. Like on LetterBoxd, I can't remember. I'll have to go back and look. Peyton, let's let the man of the hour talk about what he thinks. Overall thoughts of this movie.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'd have to give it a 5, man. I think everything about it was just really well done. There was a lot of attention to detail for both longtime fans of the franchise, but also people who've just watched the first 2 movies. Like, you know, Jim Carrey reciting a line from the first movie. So it's like, oh, I watched that 4 years ago.
Yeah.
I remember when he said that. Or referencing something that happened in the second movie. And then there's plenty of stuff pulled out of the games, like little Easter eggs. But I think my favorite one, aside from, you know, them finally having game music, is the release date of this movie. So, you know, it's an adaptation of Sonic Adventure 2. Sonic Adventure 2 came out on June 23rd of 2001. It was the 10th anniversary game for the franchise, but it was released on the Dreamcast, which was a dying console. So they knew, like, not only does this game have to be a hit, but this is like our only shot at the Dreamcast being successful. And in the end, it wasn't enough. So they ended up porting it to the GameCube, which had a much larger install base. And that released on December 20th. Yeah. Same year, 2001. This movie released on December 20th. So there's just so much attention to detail. It's very rewarding for fans and newcomers alike.
I even think, like, as a not a non-fan, but like someone who never played, like, I could tell that all 3 of these, because I watched 1 and 2 before going to see, like, I cranked them out in a day before I went and saw this one. I think I could definitely get the attention to detail out of all 3 of these. I was like, I think whoever's making these really loves these, and that really shows. And it's, I mean, they're well done. So
and that is actually the case, because the director of all 3 movies, Jeff Fowler, his first job in, like, the VFX industry was working on cutscenes for Shadow the Hedgehog in 2005. Like,
didn't even need to do trivia.
So, like, this man not only loves Sonic, but he really loves Shadow.
Worked on it.
So he handled Shadow well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think the whole thing, the execution was fantastic.
Oh yeah. All right, so yeah, it's a great movie. If you haven't seen it already, go see it. I think all of us here can highly recommend it. But let's get into plot. Sam, we'll start with you and Levi, just over this side of the table. Any, like, plot elements that y'all have written down? Like, we're strictly sticking with plot here, just story elements that you loved, that you thought they did well.
One thing I wish they would have did a little more was a little more background into the dynamic between Shadow and Maria.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they did a good job of showing the flashbacks and everything of them, but I would like to know a little more about
a little more
story.
meat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but I did like that they included that, because I think even you were telling me beforehand, like, that's like a pivotal part of the game too. And I'm like, I didn't even know that. Just thought Sonic was not Sonic, Shadow was bad Sonic.
Yeah, well, you know, it's really interesting. They removed some elements of the Shadow and Maria dynamic from the game. In the game, she has a condition where she's basically, like, too frail and would ultimately die if she was on Earth. And so she lived in space with her grandfather, Gerald Robotnik, who is also Dr. Eggman's grandfather. Yeah. So that was something that was cut as part of them removing the space colony Ark, which was it was like a military facility, but there were scientists, like researchers, that lived there. That was something that they cut, but they also did expand on the dynamic between the two, in that we actually see it. Like in the games, you learn that Maria was really important to Shadow, largely because it tells you that.
You don't see
but
it.
in the movie, you see it.
It was good to see that friendship.
Yeah. Okay. Well then, see, I didn't know that. That's kind of interesting to know. Sam, what's some plot stuff that you liked?
Plot stuff that I liked. So I thought, going into it, I just assumed that they were going to stick to the way it was in the video games, where Gerald Robotnik actually, like, created Shadow. I did like how, you know, he didn't create Shadow. Shadow kind of crashed down from a meteor. I still think, you know, with Shadow's background, there's a lot where they can go with that moving forward with Shadow. That'll be really interesting. I also, as far as the plot, I I enjoyed the pacing of it. How they kind of got right into the nitty gritty. They didn't really play around with it.
Yeah, they did.
And I think with Sonic 3, we really got a lot of the characters. Sonic,
Yes.
Shadow, Knuckles, Tails.
No wedding scene.
Yeah. I think they kind of took to heart some of the complaints from especially Sonic 2. And they still used those actors like Maddie's sister and her husband, but they used them like in a unique way.
Yeah.
How they were kind of like holograms almost.
Yeah.
They were needed, whereas in the second one they weren't really.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Which was like again used for the plot is better than just unnecessary B plot.
Yeah.
Like we had in the second one. But yeah, and so for me, I don't know. There's a lot to unpack. I think I did like how we got more of our furry little characters.
Yeah.
Loved them all.
Yeah, less Tom and Maddie.
Yeah, a lot of cuteness overload in this movie. Also liked the.
Don't ever say that ever again.
Well, he's just agreeing with Agent Stone.
Yeah.
He thinks
talking about
Tails is adorable.
They're adorable.
Tails is adorable.
Yeah.
You had the Chow Garden.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, I was about to say the Chow Garden.
Yeah.
Because okay,
Yeah, they want to go back to Tokyo.
this is the only thing I've known about Sonic Adventures 2. So I grew up in like a 50 house neighborhood, and so I had a friend who lived maybe 8 houses down, and so I used to go over to his house. He had a GameCube and he had Sonic Adventures 2. And I remember watching him play Sonic Adventures 2, especially the opening where he jumps out of the helicopter and like skates down San Francisco.
Talk about low budget flights. No food or movies. I'm out of here. I like running better.
Which I knew, like, so, and I'll preface that later, but back to the Chow thing. Literally, like, I remember watching him just, like, take his chows and throw them against the wall.
And they get a little squiggle
And they get
above
all
their head
upset.
because you made them mad.
And I was like, Josh, what are you doing? He's like, I'm turning them evil. I'm like, what's wrong with you? He's like, they're cooler evil.
Yeah, you make him evil, then it opens up a Chow hell.
Yeah.
Or you can make him nice, and it opens up a Chow heaven.
Yeah, like that's all I remember about those games was the opening and then that.
There's a shocking amount of depth to that Chow system that people today are still trying to like figure out all the intricacies.
Yeah.
And ever since that game, people have wanted it to come back, and like every few years, Sega will be like, "Oh, we've thought about it. Maybe we'll bring it back." But we're running on like 20 years now, over 20 years because it was 2001.
There's no way it's going.
It'd be cool.
Chow, do you remember the Chow races?
Oh yeah,
It was
I was
like
bad at it. Chow karate.
You could race your Chows, and it was like little babies racing each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, Chow karate.
Yeah.
But I remember that when they went to the Chow Garden, I thought it was a unique way for the plot to have them integrate the Chow stuff because I know that's a big part of that game. And I just remember being like the meme of Leonardo DiCaprio and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, like, hey,
Yeah.
there it is. I just remember like being like, no way, they did it. And then also, so back to the helicopter bit, but the way Peyton just recounted that line and said it. But like, I knew as soon as so we were sitting, me and Levi were sitting like a row in front to the left of Peyton and Heath. And when he said the line, I like peered over my chair to look at Peyton, and Peyton was losing his mind.
This is far from the first time Chandler or any of these guys have heard me recite that line.
I was peering over, and he was like, "They said the thing."
Yeah, well, because it was almost verbatim. Like,
Oh, it was?
Yeah.
Watching it last week, I was
Well,
like,
instead of "I'm out of here," it's "We're out of here."
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
other than that, it was the exact same line.
Great opening to the movie.
Yeah.
Shadow, I loved the build up. Like for plot wise, I just loved the build up for Shadow. He's just like in this tube, and like they had the guy from Lonely Island watching him, and then he breaks out, and he like I forget that he like skates instead of runs. He's like, and you're
Yeah,
like,
like, and it's cool, like how they animated him getting up to speed. Yeah, he like whips around like a snake. It was so cool.
sick. Yeah.
He once he gets out of his chamber, he kicks everybody's ass.
Yeah. I didn't know he could teleport.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, and so in the games, that's his chaos control ability,
He can-
which it requires a chaos emerald for him to do. But they've handled those differently in the movies.
Okay.
So in the movies, it seems like that's just an innate ability of
Okay,
his.
that's sick.
But it's that's a really interesting change from the games too, because in the game he's basically in cryo sleep. So Eggman ends up being the one to break him out of Prison Island, which is the same island
He just doesn't
as
break
in the
out
movie.
himself.
Well, it seems like Gerald somehow hacked the system.
Oh, that's right.
And
Yeah.
basically
let him out.
Yeah, because that was when he started like having brain waves again. But yeah, the whole thing, how they handled that, I thought was really funny. Like it was kind of dry humor where you've got the two guys in the control room.
Uh-oh.
He's like, does this fossil ever do anything? Like, nah. And then
No.
beep.
And they're like,
it's like,
uh-oh.
is that normal? No. And then they start panicking, and you see the Dr.
Yeah.
Eggman symbol
Yeah.
on the display.
No.
But in the movie, he's kind of just forced to be asleep. Like, he's reliving what happened to Maria constantly.
Yeah.
And so, in contrast with what we see, where you see a look into his past, where he's actually, like, happy and, like, skating around with Maria, like, making snow angels in the dessert cart that they trashed. Like, you gain an understanding for why he's this, like, dark, brooding character.
Yeah.
Whereas in Sonic Adventure 2, he's just introduced as that dark, brooding character.
Yeah, and I mean, plot-wise, too, I also really enjoyed, like, I really, back to what Sam was saying originally about, like, we get to see Maria and Shadow, like, I did enjoy, because, like, Shadow, they give Shadow this personality of, like, kind of doesn't understand, like, niceness. Like, he's just kind of, like, straight mean mugging everything, and then, like, Maria's, like, the only one to show him, like, some sort of affection and kindness, and he doesn't know really, he's like, well,
Yeah.
I don't know what that is.
To everybody else, he's just a test subject.
Yeah,
and
but
they're
like,
afraid of him.
You're a little cutie.
Yeah.
And so just seeing them like
Like you.
yeah, just seeing them like he's like skating her around. I was like, that's pretty cute. Like that's fun. I like that.
Skating around with Tom Petty playing on,
Yeah.
on the record player.
What else was
another difference I noticed from the video game and movie is, so in the video game, when he wakes up, he kind of has like some amnesia. He doesn't remember totally, like he knows that Marie was killed. He doesn't remember totally, like, I guess, like how it exactly went down. The movie, he remembers it all.
Yeah. Well, and that all comes down to Gerald, really, because in the game, Gerald, he's not alive, which is a key difference between this and the movie. He died 50 years ago in the game's equivalent of the gun base shutting down, which is the space colony Ark being raided by Gun. They're forced to turn Shadow over. They think he's a threat, and so they want to put him down, essentially. Maria tries to help him escape, and in the process, she is shot down by a Gun agent.
Oh yeah.
And Shadow gets ejected out into space, ultimately is recovered and put in cryosleep anyway. Before that event, Gerald he's a good guy, but that event drives him to go insane. So while he's developing the Eclipse Cannon, or while he's essentially programming the Eclipse Cannon, it already existed in the game. He is altering Shadow's memories.
Jeez.
And so Shadow doesn't know all the details. All he knows is that he needs to get revenge for what happened to Maria. And it's not until the final act of the game that he remembers that she actually wanted to go back to Earth, and she wanted everybody down there to be happy the way she would have liked to be herself. Whereas in the movie, Gerald is just a master manipulator. Like he manipulates his grandson into joining him, in that first scene where he comes out and he's doing like the Homer Simpson voice almost. Yes, I know French.
That was a great scene. When you meet someone, they like start asking each other questions.
But yeah, like he manipulates his grandson. He also manipulates Shadow. Shadow has his own memories, but he's feeding the parts of Shadow that want revenge rather than like the glimpses of the nice Shadow that we see when we peer into the past.
Yeah, so okay. For plot, I haven't seen it. Y'all rewatched it, but remind me again how Shadow in this movie turns good again?
So in this movie, he's on the moon with Sonic after their fight. And he remembers what Maria told him, which is the light shines even though the star is gone, which calls back to the scene where they're like in the meadow or whatever, looking at the moon and stars.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what he's like. Oh. But does Sonic say something? I swear Sonic says something.
Sonic just doesn't end it because Shadow's telling him you've won, end it. And he was like,
Oh, that's
no.
right. He's like, after they go like
Revenge.
super.
Yeah, you know, that's a really good change actually that they made in this. In Sonic Adventure 2, you know, Sonic is this carefree guy. Shadow, he's got all the pain of what happened in the past. In this movie, they allowed Sonic the chance to become Shadow, essentially.
Yeah.
Like, Shadow attacks Tom, who's disguised as Commander Walters.
Yeah.
And when Tom passes out, the disguise fails, and he realizes what he's done.
He's like, uh-oh.
That's when he looks at Tom. Sonic runs in and is at his side, and for a second he sees himself and Maria in their shoes. And so that's the first moment where we see like there's more to Shadow.
Yeah, I think that was a great way to kind of make us sympathize with him as well, and be like,
yeah. So there's more depth to Shadow that you
give us a reason
you see for the first time there.
Good.
And then that scene where they're on the moon and Sonic has the chance to kill him, and Shadow's like, do it, get your revenge, I'm right here, and he's pointing to his chest. Sonic remembers one of the first scenes of the movie where Tom's like, you didn't let your past and your pain change who you are in here.
And he points to his chest.
And then he's like, this isn't me.
Yeah, see that I think that's a great. I don't know. Give us good reasons for these characters to do the things they do, and not just because it's written that way. Like, I can empathize. Like, I think that's just good story writing in general by whoever wrote this. Like, just a good way to have both of them kind of go through the same stuff but sympathize with each other in the end. I think that's great.
Yeah, and like after Sonic backs off, he powers back down, and Shadow's like, I don't get it. You could have had your revenge.
And he nails it every time, dude. Okay, and then keep going.
Sonic says, there are no winners with revenge. And so that's kind of the turning point for Shadow. And that's that beautiful scene where they're on the moon, the sun starts to rise over the earth. The cinematography on that shot was crazy. Insane.
It's good.
It looks so good, and that's the turning point for him.
Yeah. I did think we were going to lose Tom. Like, I don't know.
The trailers made it seem like.
Well, I think going into it, I was like, dude, what if Tom dies here?
Yeah.
Like what if? I wonder, like, we don't need it, but like,
would they do it?
How much more impactful would it have been if you did? You know what I'm saying? Like, it would have been like, I would have been like, dang, Sonic's just better than me, because I would have just like
crashed out.
I would have crashed out.
Yeah.
Like,
well, and he nearly did though.
I know, but I don't know. It just even betraying his friends, or like, you know, telling Knuckles and Tails like, give me the Chaos Emerald, I'm gonna finish this, and they're like, you can't.
Yeah, and given at the time, you know, Sonic didn't know if Tom was gonna live or die. He knew he was fighting for his life in the hospital.
God, I forget that whole thing happened. I'm like, that's so good. It's cinema.
Yeah, it is crazy. And like Walters brought this up when they were in the Chow Garden, how, you know, like the Sonic and Shadow story started off like, you know, not so different, but you know, Shadow found, you know, he found pain and loss, and then Sonic found friends. He found family, and it's, you know, it's interesting to think about how, like, if Sonic hadn't have found that, like, he could have ended up like Shadow. He could have, instead of the carefree guy that he is, the hero he is, he could have, you know, like, gone down a dark path instead. Yeah,
when it's that, I really like Commander Walters in this movie. He's not just like the Olive Garden guy anymore, which was funny in the first movie. But in the second movie, he's there for like one scene. He's like, "You should have taken me up on that Olive Garden offer."
Yeah, with his Hawaiian shirt on.
Yeah. So I liked that he was a bigger part of this movie. I do wonder if he's actually dead, because the last scene that we get with director Rockwell, Kristen Ritter's character, she just like disappears from the movie after that without an explanation. But
she was kind of.
But she hands over the card to Tom when he's disguised without questioning it, which makes me think he's probably not dead, because she ought to know that if he was.
Yeah.
So I have a feeling she'll be back in the next movie.
Let's go.
And Walters might be back too. But yeah, that whole thing was handled very well, where they foreshadow it, like, you know, where you found family and friends, Shadow found only pain and loss. It was very good how they foreshadowed the plot of the movie.
I like Eggman's arc. With his granddad, and like, kind of realizing, like, because honestly at first I thought like the granddad, you know, was pulling strings, but not really pulling the son's strings. I thought he was just like, or his grandson's strings. I think he was legitimately just like, let's do this together. I'll manipulate everyone else in Shadow, but not you.
Yeah.
But then, like, towards the end, you're kind of like, oh.
Yeah.
Well,
my
he wasn't-
boy, there's nothing we can't do together. Yeah.
Yeah, because he wasn't really manipulating him. He just thought that he was going along with it. He didn't know that
Because
he
they're
didn't
playing
want to
this-
destroy the world. He wanted
Yeah.
One of them wanted to destroy the world, and one of them wanted to ruin the world.
Yeah.
Well,
Or
Jim.
Rule it.
Well, they're both Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
But the grandson wants to rule the world, like
Yes,
you said,
rule.
yeah, with like his brain. Like he's like, I will make robots and rule the world. And then the grandfather's like, the world has taken everything from me. I'm going to destroy it.
Yeah,
And
and
you're
he's like, well, what about your family? We have each other now.
Yeah.
When I lost Maria, I had no more family.
He tells Eggman, he said, whatever his name is, what's Eggman's actual name? Starts with I.
Ivo Robot.
He said, Ivo, you're no Maria.
Yeah.
And that's when it sets in like, oh.
Yeah,
well,
I
you
felt,
don't like
I felt,
me.
I felt pretty bad for.
I kind of. I was like, yo,
felt bad for
Eggman,
him.
kick his butt. I was like,
Well, because that was the turning point for him.
that's a great. Yeah, again,
Well-
good good writing like that.
Yeah.
Well,
I can sympathize with him and be like, yeah, I wouldn't. If my grandfather just mysteriously came back and was just like, oh, I love you, my boy, I love you, and then he's like, you're nothing
And-
like your
cousin, sister.
cousin.
Yeah, cousin. Yeah,
you're nothing
so-
like your cousin. I'd be like, okay, like
Later.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
well,
kick your butt.
well, and it's like they set that up too when they first meet because first Eggman, he's like, "Where have you been all my life?" Wait, where have you been all my life?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so there's a little bit of conflict there, and also there's plenty of times where Eggman wants to go for a high five or like something like that,
Yeah.
and he just gets snubbed.
yeah, yeah.
And
It's I
so
love
they do a good job building that.
Eggman's arc is really good. I think
Yeah.
everyone's arc, like everyone has a, in terms of plot, everyone's arc comes to a great.
Shout out Stone.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
Agent-
even
Agent
I was about to
Stone.
like
bring
I'm
him
saying,
up.
like even
The goat milker, the goat milker.
even characters like that, like everyone gets a good arc and like I don't know, it's just a very satisfying ending. Plot was just so well written and like
Yeah,
just
Yeah.
can't beat it. Is
I-
there?
I guess going back to Agent Stone real quick, the first couple of movies, like he was just he was the henchman. I
Yeah.
could kind of take
the
him or
doctor
leave
thinks
him.
you're basic.
Yeah, but the third movie, I really enjoyed Stone.
Yeah.
I did too.
In the third movie,
I love
Yeah.
the
Well-
scene where they're in the robot and he's like, because he like has like
Come
every,
on, Shadow.
every
We got
s-
fresh avocados.
Yeah.
Make guac.
Revenge guac.
I thought that's what you were going to say.
I'm saying,
Yeah.
like, I just think everyone's really doing a good job. Like, I love the bit where they're in the crab machine.
Yeah, the crab.
the big crab.
Join me
robot.
in the crab.
Join me in the crab.
Yeah.
Make crab rank games.
Which Robotnik's gone like full downhill. He's
Oh yeah,
like,
he's in like squalor.
he's like got a beer belly. He's like hair's untamed. He's like eating what burritos.
Yeah.
No, he makes himself a Mexican flag burrito. He like repurposed one of his droids as a
One bite and
microwave.
throws it away.
Yeah.
Just watching like telenovelas.
No, it's the show was La Última Pasión.
But I love when they decide to suit him up and like Stone like knows like every craft there is, and he's like, I need you to make me a new suit, Stone.
Yeah.
And then he's like,
Think Elvis, circa 1976.
and he's like, there's not enough material, and he goes, just
Dum.
rips the whole front of his outfit off. It's like, great,
Resourceful.
yeah, so good.
Yeah, well, both of them, they really like expand the character with each movie. Like for Eggman's reintroduction in the second movie, it cuts to Stone, who is like making a latte where it's himself and Eggman in
Yeah,
the latte
yeah.
art.
Yeah,
so-
and he like mixes it up. He's
Yeah,
like,
yeah, well, and there's a lot of good build up. Like in the climax of Sonic 2, they're inside the giant like Eggman robot, and Eggman like calls him his sycophant. And then at the end of this movie, he's like, "You're not just a sycophant to me.
Yeah.
You're my sicka friend." and like that kind of gets into what I was talking about, where they reused lines from the
Yeah.
first and second movies, but like in new context. Because in the first movie, you've got Eggman like pinning Stone against the wall because he asked him if
Pin
he wants a
yourself against the
latte
wall.
with steamed Austrian goat milk, and he's like, "What do you take me for, an imbecile? Of course I want a latte. I love the way you make them."
Yeah.
Then as he's going out with a bang in this third movie, he's dedicating his last live stream to Agent Stone, and
I like that part.
Yeah, he's like, I'll miss your steamed lattes, or I'll miss your lattes with steamed Austrian goat's milk.
Yeah.
I love the way you make them.
Yeah, I love how Stone's like looking at the video, and he's like, don't do it, doctor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like in like Times Square or whatever.
Yeah. Well, he was in London.
I know, but
yeah,
he's like
yeah.
some big city.
So that was a great repurposing of a scene from Sonic Adventure 2, because in the game, Eggman is firing the Eclipse cannon, and he fires it at the moon as a show of power. And in this movie, they do blow up part of the moon, but it's as an accident.
Yeah.
And instead, Eggman's live streaming across the world as a hero rather than as a villain. And so narratively, I thought the movie did a really good job of not only like having Sonic and Shadow as obvious foils to each other, but it almost turns Eggman into a mirror for him.
Yeah,
like
I love when they like cut the moon in half and they're like,
I'm gonna be playing
Look what
Close
you
Dimension to
did.
the Moon in the next movie and see.
well, like I just love like when they do it. Knuckles and Tails are like,
Yeah.
oh no, like a cartoon, like YouTube thumbnail face, like
Home
oh.
Alone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was really good about that. And there would be like subtle hints at it throughout the movie. Like you've got Stone and Tails in that hallway together. Yeah, Stone tells Tails how cute he is, and then Tails is like asking about what it's like being Eggman's best friend, because Stone is like, so what's it like being Sonic's assistant? Do you get good benefits? And he's like, no, we're best friends. Just like you and the doctor, right? And he's like, right, just like me and the doctor.
Just like me and the doctor. No, I did like that whole little arc where they're like teaming up, like Eggman and everybody,
Yeah,
like Eggman
for
and Sonic
5 seconds.
team up, and they're like, yeah, we should go after Shadow, and then they're like, they get picked off on them.
Yeah, I like those dynamics.
Yeah, it was like
there.
this is a good
Yeah,
like this
yeah.
is it's
We
Knuckles
can
is
work on
all
your trust issues.
Knuckles is all alone, but he's scared of ghosts.
Yeah, and
Yeah, because there's no
creepy
such thing as a
hallway.
friendly
that's
ghost.
so I'm kind of winging this, but the only note that I really made was I wanted to bring up Knuckles being afraid of ghosts.
King Boom
Yeah,
Boom.
because that's a direct callback to the video game where
Yeah.
you have to fight King Boom Boo
Yeah.
as Knuckles. He's just this giant ghost that makes these these weird noises. Yeah, he was not one of my favorite bosses.
No.
He kind of freaked me out.
But it's kind of a
I gotta
glitchy
like this
boss
guy.
too.
Yeah, it is.
Look up King Boom Boo.
Yeah, King Boom,
Boom
Boo. Yeah, there's no such thing as a friendly ghost.
Oh, this
Yeah.
little guy looks freaky as
Yeah.
heck.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'd have to hit this hourglass, like it would like reveal the sun, and like King Boom Boo would like, you'd have to like chase his shadow, would like go into the walls, and you have to like dig out his shadow and keep
Yeah.
attacking him.
The music during that fight's a banger, though.
It is a bad
Is there anything else you guys got for plot before we wrap it up? Anything
yeah,
else?
you want to go first?
No, you take it.
Okay, I was going to talk about them leaving out the bio lizard. Going into the movie, I wondered if that was going to be a plot point, and like how in the world are they going to incorporate that in? I love the bio lizard in the video game, but I am glad that they didn't incorporate it into the movie, because I think that's a whole lot more kind of like background that needs to be explained. So
Yeah.
if you don't, Chandler, the bio lizard was the prototype of the ultimate life form. So Shadow is kind of like the final product, ultimate life form, but the bio lizard is like
A previous attempt.
a previous attempt, and it was like just this giant lizard with like this life support system, and it was kind of like mentally it was like an animal, right? It could really like
Well, so it started off as like a little gecko, and then the experiments like made it start growing exponentially large, and so it couldn't support itself anymore. So then it needed the life support. But it had
cool
some
boss.
of it had some of Shadow's abilities, like it could use chaos control like him, but without the life support, it wouldn't last very long. And so in the game, you fight it as Shadow while the rest of the team is trying to stop the Eclipse cannon from firing. So very similar to the movie, except in the game, it's powered by the 7 Chaos Emeralds, and Knuckles has to use the Master Emerald to neutralize them. Because in the game universe, those are separate things. The Master Emerald has the power to stop the Chaos Emeralds. So they use that ability to depower the Eclipse cannon, which saves the day, until the bio lizard flees from its fight with Shadow, attaches itself to the exterior of the arc, and is able to continue it basically sets it on a crash course for Earth, which would be an extinction level event, just like if the cannon was fired at Earth. And in the game, when the cannon gets the 7th emerald, it initiates a program that Gerald had written like 50 years before that hijacks all the systems. They're completely locked out. And that is what gets Eggman to team up with everybody else. In the movie, obviously, it's Eggman comes to the realization that his grandfather is insane.
Crazy pop-up.
And they have the fight scene. I thought the plot, it all boiled down to something that Sonic says to Shadow, which is you always have a choice. And that rings true not only for Sonic and Shadow in that moment, but also for Eggman. Like, he makes the choice to save the world rather than try to destroy it. Like he has the comment, if I can't rule the world, I might as well save it, as he's trying to stabilize the reactor before the Eclipse cannon blows up with him in it. I'm not convinced he's dead, by the way. I think Shadow probably saved him.
He's coming back.
Yeah, because we know Shadow's there, and Jim Carrey has said he's open to coming back for a 4th time, which is nuts because this was the first threequel he has ever been in.
This is also, he was retired.
Yeah. He just loves being Eggman so much.
He came out of retirement to do Sonic 1.
Well, no, he retired after 2, I think.
Oh.
That's why in 2, he's falling to his death, and that never gets explained. But they have, like, Agent Stone. They show a glimpse of him where he's, like, disguised as a gun agent, where it's like, okay, maybe he's alive. Depends. It's open-ended, so if Jim Carrey comes back or not, we have a next movie. They did the same thing here, but I think he'll be back probably.
Yeah, and he said, after Sonic 2, when he retired, he was asked if he would come out of retirement, and he said, if somebody put down a script of gold before me, I'd come out of retirement. And then, when we figured out that he was back for Sonic 3, that's kind of when I knew, oh yeah, this is going to be a banger.
Yeah. Well, all it took was putting that dance scene with Galvanize.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm telling you, man, that's why Jim Carrey's the number 5.
My finger is on the button. Push the button.
I love, dude.
Yeah, I think they gave him a lot of creative power.
Yeah, no,
I think
he went crazy in this movie.
Do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Act like Jim Carrey and Ace Ventura.
The 4th wall break. Well, I will get into that in acting. The 4th wall break that he did.
Okay, we'll move. Is there anything else in plot?
No.
All right, guys. Let's get into acting. I want to start because
I think you should do it.
Yeah, my number 5 actor is Jim Carrey, and I think Jim Carrey is excellent in all these movies.
All right. Anyways,
okay. But to be fair, I think everybody in this movie does good. I think Idris Elba is. Knuckles is killing it. I think I forget who's
Colleen O'Shaughnessy is Tails.
Yes, but she's the only actor or actress of these characters that is shared with the games.
Yeah, so she
she is Tails.
Yeah, I was
and
gonna
has
say,
been for a long time.
I was gonna say because she's killing it. I think Ben Schwartz as Sonic was a great cast. I think Keanu Reeves as Shadow was a great voice acting cast. I think James Marsden is.
I like him.
For the only
I like Tom.
human person in these movies besides Jim Carrey, I'm like, and
Stone.
Yeah, he makes a good donut lord.
You're making a great,
much better than Chris Pratt.
Yeah. Wait, was he considered?
Yeah, no, he was rumored to be the donut lord.
Oh my gosh, I'm glad James Marsden.
There was a poster of like ugly Sonic and Chris Pratt. Like,
I remember that.
Yeah, they were like on the hood of the squad car together.
Imagine if he was in that and he was Mario.
Listen, I love Chris Pratt. Don't get me wrong, but I think James Marsden I don't know. He just seems like a.
I can't see Chris Pratt as a dad.
Yeah, like James Marsden just seems like such a good dad figure. Like,
yeah.
You're like, oh, that if I was Sonic, that'd be my dad. You know?
Yeah.
He's Cyclops, you know.
Yeah, sure. So acting, like Levi, who's absolutely killing this?
I mean, the number one note I wrote down is Keanu Reeves is the best voice casting ever. When I heard that Keanu Reeves was going to be Shadow, I was locked in. So I was about ready to give it a 5 right there.
Yeah, I think it's great, but did y'all hear the rumor? Like the first trailer. I remember the first trailer for this dropped, right? It's like, oh, this kind of looks pretty good. And then they didn't show Shadow in the first trailer, I don't remember. But
they did.
They did?
Well, they had him in the end credit scene for 2 also. So,
yeah.
I mean,
yeah, okay. Well, I'm saying, like, I guess he didn't talk in the trailer.
Yes, right.
I think he did.
I don't think so, because he says a line at the end when the screen's black at the end of the trailer. And I remember people didn't know who it was. And I think people were speculating that Hayden Christensen was going to voice Shadow, which
So random.
I know, but like think about how crazy of a timeline that would have been if
Yeah.
like Hayden Christensen, because everyone was like, he's coming back, it's a comeback king, and I'm like, I think he's like set on Star Wars. I don't think he like would ever need to do anything for the rest of his life.
Well,
but
I mean,
yeah, I think Keanu Reeves did.
he's my favorite.
Reeves better.
I would probably say that Jim Carrey's the best because he's not just voice acting, and he's playing two characters that are pretty much on screen together the whole time.
Yeah.
And so when he did the fourth wall break where he's like, it's almost like we're in a movie being played by the same actor.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they go hand in hand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look at the camera.
Because it was
Yeah.
like that was like Deadpool Wolverine moment right there.
Yeah, it's like
fourth wall break.
I don't know. He just did so good.
And I said the human side characters were better in this movie because I like Stone better, and the fact that they like you said where they had Shamar Moore and Maddie's sister in there for like 5 seconds where they were needed and not where it was unnecessary. And I liked because my main gripe of the second one was I didn't like, because I know Idris Elba can do a perfectly fine American accent. I didn't like that they made Knuckles like tribal and British or whatever, but I liked him way more in this one because he was less serious and more funny.
Yeah, Knuckles had a good. He didn't feel as Draxy as we said in the first movie. It's like he felt like the comedic relief, but not like a stupid comedic. Like he just like I don't know.
No, I get that
he's
though, because like one of the first things he does in the movie is they foreshadow Eggman and Knuckles not actually being allies in the end, and so Knuckles is like threatening him because the robots are coming down, and he's like, I'll destroy 1,000 of these or whatever he says, and then he's like, oh, they are stairs because they turned into a staircase beneath him. But yeah, I think all the characters were pretty well written, and the voice acting was great. I remember when Keanu was first revealed, though, like the first trailer with him comes out, and they get the line that's like, "You're a colorful bunch."
Yeah,
like people were kind of hating on him for that line because it just seemed like it was kind of clipped weirdly for the trailer. I think
it just seems like he maybe wasn't seeing what Shadow was saying.
Yeah, I don't know that was the best first impression to put in a trailer.
He did great,
but yeah, for the movie as a whole, it's phenomenal. Like in that very same scene in the movie is you jumped out of a gun helicopter. There's nothing to talk about.
Yeah,
like
the one line.
There's like like there's so much like you can hear his pain.
Yeah.
And because it's like you're allied with these people that locked me away, and that's after he saw that it was 2024. It was like Captain America. Like I've been imprisoned for 50 years. Like so good.
So I'm assuming yours is Shadow, your favorite.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, Shadow's been my favorite character
so
20 years, man.
Do all of y'all have different characters here? Favorite characters?
Oh, favorite characters?
Because you like Knuckles.
Like
you like Sonic?
Are we talking like all-time Sonic characters?
Oh yeah.
So like my all-time favorite is kind of obscure. It's this like robot named like E102 Gamma from Sonic Adventure. Like that's a story for for
Give me
another
the
time.
bird.
Yeah, but yeah. Other than that, I mean, yeah, I love Shadow. Who doesn't love Shadow? Yeah, the scene where he handles Sonic, Knuckles, and Tails pretty easily.
Yeah.
After he kind of like slams Sonic into the ground and Sonic falls down, he's like, weakling. Like I love the way he said that. But obviously I love Keanu Reeves. I was interested, to see how it played out when I heard he was casted, because I know that love Keanu Reeves. He's great. He's like he's a little bit. He's not like old, but he's like getting a little bit older. Yeah. And I was thinking like, is Shadow going to sound kind of like an older guy? Whoa. But he's
John Wick 4 came out last year.
Yeah, he sounded good though. Yeah, he sounded really good.
So okay, but like I'm saying, like, because like you dressed up as Sonic for Halloween, you dressed up as Knuckles.
Well, I'm down they have the E1 or whatever he just said.
Oh no shot.
Spirit, but.
I'm saying like for what? Like I don't know. I just thought like Shadow.
Yeah, mine's definitely Knuckles. But like as far as the movie goes, I like Keanu Reeves as Shadow better than Idris Elba as.
Yeah,
Knuckles.
Well, okay. Yeah.
He is much more impressive than the Hedgehog I fought previously.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm right here.
Yeah, I love Sonic too. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
So okay,
it's hard
Sam,
to pick a favorite.
Well, so Sonic has always been kind of a character that he doesn't really have much of a backstory, but like the characters around him do. And so with Shadow, like you see his pain, and then you learn that there's a lot more to it than that. Movie Sonic's kind of different though. Like, you know, we've seen him grow up now through the 3
Baby
movies.
Sonic in the first minute.
Yeah, exactly.
Did he have shoes? Does anybody know?
He had his shoes were all. But
did he have shoes as Baby Sonic?
Yeah.
Little.
I think he did.
He was running around really fast.
Yeah. Yeah, when he's running around Green Hill Zone.
I think he had little makmakeshift shoes, if I remember correctly.
God, he's such a
Well,
cutie,
he had
dude.
a flower. You
He's
know that.
such a
He gave
little-
that to Longclaw.
Yeah.
But
God, what a cutie.
yeah, voice acting is just, it's so good.
I know.
And there's so many references, but like that scene again where they're on the moon and it's like, you know, I do know this. Sometimes when we make big mistakes, it takes someone else to help us get out. And then like, you know, they give each other their hands. Live and Learn starts playing.
Cleanest dap up of all time.
Yeah, and he's like, gotta go fast. Don't tell me you have a catchphrase. That's right, new hedgehog, and everyone loves it.
It was good. I
Yeah,
love
and-
that.
Oh, and then when they're flying towards the arc, they're ready to recycle some tin cans. Just try to keep up.
Yeah, and like they're doing like these combo moves together, and then like they zigzag blow up all the gun robots, which those were taken straight from the game, by the way. But after they do that, they shoot past each other. They remake an iconic pose from Sonic Adventure 2 Battle. In the game, like the moon is behind them as they like zip by. But in this one, they were in their super forms, and there's like a massive explosion. It was so cool.
I like how Shadow was smiling too.
Yes.
I love to see Shadow smile.
Yeah, it's rare.
Makes me happy.
Yeah.
I wish this episode had video because Chandler would be really helping our deaf listeners out there.
Yeah, I am
He's
acting out every scene that happened.
But yeah, the whole thing was just, it was super cool. It felt like they
Felt
just
grand. Felt
well,
big.
and it was like they took scenes from Dragon Ball Z and like turned it into a Sonic
That's
movie.
exactly what KJ said when we got out. He's like, dude, that felt like a Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah,
Which is
well-
it, like, I'm like, that's
Well, like when Sonic and Super Shadow, when they were
Yes.
fighting,
Yes, that's what you're talking
that felt like it. But then like as they're flying back toward the Eclipse Cannon and like the hordes of gun robots are coming out, it's like that's taken literally like Bardock fighting Frieza before like the whole planet is destroyed. But so cool. And
So
like
good.
and like when the Eclipse Cannon fires and they're trying to fight it back, and he's like, so this was your plan? And it's like pretty much. And you see like that was a neat inversion from the game actually. So in the game they're trying to stop the cannon, and Shadow is, you know, he's losing energy, and so they ultimately they use chaos control. They transport the arc from its trajectory where it's going to hit Earth back into space. Sonic makes it out okay. Shadow falls back to Earth and is presumed dead until the next game. But in this one, you see Sonic kind of, his power's running out. He starts to turn back into his blue color, while Shadow takes his little bracelets off and goes full power on the thing. So it was interesting, because in the game, Shadow doesn't have anyone to save him. But when it happens to Sonic in the movie, his buddies, they come to the rescue, while Shadow is left alone to fight back the cannon before it explodes, and Eggman's inside trying to prevent the explosion. And so Eggman's presumed dead, Shadow's presumed dead until the post-credits scene where we see his shoe as he picks up one of the bracelets, and Live and Learn starts playing again, and it's like, oh yeah, he's back. Yeah, because I remember you came up to my seat and you were like, do you think he's dead? And I was like, he didn't die in the game. I don't think he's dead.
Oh yeah, because I'd left my seat early to come talk to you. So back to acting. Sam, who do you think was your favorite in this movie?
Probably, I mean, yeah, I'd say Keanu Reeves' Shadow, because that's what everybody was anticipating. In which he killed it. I think he did a perfect job, like just encompassing Shadow's pain, and you know, kind of like thirst for vengeance. But also, I mean, Jim Carrey, man, I don't know who else could have played Eggman.
I know, dude.
Eggman, he's such a peculiar like character, like personality wise, and just the way that he looks. And I like how over the 3 movies he became like, he started looking more and more like the video game accurate Eggman. Because the first movie, you know, he was kind of rocking like a sweet fade.
And he's
Yeah,
skinny.
You know, he was skinny, like he just kind of looked like a He didn't really look much like Eggman. Then the second one, he kind of like loses.
Got the red jacket a little bit.
Yeah, kind of like loses his hair. The mustache grows out, and then this one he gets the video game accurate suit. And he's a little fatter.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean Jim Carrey. I think. I think that they picked literally the perfect person to play Eggman.
I really don't know.
Like all of his scenes are just so good. Like the one where he's watching La Ultimate Passion, and he's like relating to the character on screen, and he's like, first you start to eat all this food, and then you gain copious amounts of adipose tissue. And he's like doing belly drums, and he turns around. And
His squeal.
He's like, oh, I'm sorry. The one person I trusted most in this world just let my 3 worst enemies in the room.
Or when he's in VR with his granddad, and he's like his granddad is Santa, and he like just tackles him into the tree.
Yes.
Speaking of which, the movie posters, you're telling me they made like 11 classic movie posters with Sonic characters?
They, on LetterBoxd, well, I'm sure they're available everywhere else, but on LetterBoxd, they remade like Christmas movie posters. They had Scrooged, Home Alone, Four Christmases, Die Hard.
Yeah,
they were posting those on their Instagram page.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah, the marketing was so good.
Yeah.
And what's crazy is until, 3 months before the movie came out, there was no marketing. People were like, is this movie gonna bomb? Like there's no trailer for it.
I remember a great marketing ad. I went to the theater. It started with, it was an ad for Cinemark or whatever, or AMC, I can't remember.
Oh, I think it was when you guys saw Gladiator.
But yes, it was.
Oh, that slapped.
Because we were sitting there watching it, and then you see Sonic, Knuckles, and Tails in like going to their seats like, oh no way, we're gonna watch Gladiator, guys, and they're like, please turn your phones off, and I'm like, this is great.
And Shadow was next to them pouting.
Oh, was he?
Yeah,
I
with his legs crossed.
I didn't see that. I was like, that's genius marketing.
Yeah.
Genius.
I think the coolest marketing I saw from this movie is, so there's two players for the Lions. The running back, Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery. Jahmyr Gibbs is more, he's kind of like swift, he's fast, he's elusive, and David Montgomery's more, he's bigger, he's like kind of like the bruiser. Yeah. And they just randomly came out and said like, we want our nicknames to be Sonic and Knuckles. And then so it's like the movie, the marketing team took full advantage of that, and for their Thanksgiving game, they gave them custom cleats. And so I don't know if you've seen that, but David Montgomery had custom cleats that looked just like Knuckles shoes, and then
that's awesome.
Jahmyr Gibbs had the cleats that looked just like Sonic shoes.
See,
and they were
insane.
awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's so cool.
Yeah, I mean, like, major props to Paramount with these movies, because the only thing in this franchise that's kind of been a miss was the Knuckles show, which is it's fine.
Yes.
It's a show with Knuckles in it.
Yeah.
But the movies have all been really good, and they've learned from the previous entries. Like the first one, it did a good job telling an origin story for the two characters. I thought it did a good job with humor. Like, it wasn't all targeted at like 5-year-olds.
Yeah.
The second movie, the humor was skewed more toward like the Fortnite kid range. Like, there was a scene about flossing. Like, you'll be totally lost if you don't know how to floss.
Yeah.
Which, that combined with the wedding scene, I was like, the story's, I think, better than the first one because it is based on the games a little bit. But this one, I think, was just great the whole way through.
Yeah. All right, so for time reasons, we're going to go into visuals, but for time reasons, we're going to just quickly name off some visuals that just stuck out. Probably one thing, but Levi, you want to start us off?
Yeah, the opening scene I thought really set the tone for. Yeah,
Come on, when
Shadow looked
breaks,
amazing.
Breaks the glass.
Like, because it's like raining, so he's got like the water in his fur. It looks insane.
I just think the CGI in these movies are
for
incredible.
the characters,
Yeah,
the best.
Incredible.
Yeah, CGI.
For animated creatures that don't look they're like, they don't look, they're there, but they look like a cartoon. I mean, like, they look so much better than what that sounds like, and so I think the CGI looks good, and they're in a real world environment. It just looks so good.
Yeah, CGI looks great. I mean, I think that's a testament to how far they've come from ugly Sonic. Man,
Meow.
CGI it looks better and better each time, and visually, the scene in Tokyo, where they're fighting Shadow, just like, like kind of like, you know, it was at night, but it had all the colors from the city, and that was beautiful.
Yeah.
I loved that setting.
The lighting was so good. Like
Yeah.
to me, there were times in the second movie where it was a little iffy, but man, it was good in this one.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone was firing on all cylinders.
Yeah, I just think CGI great. Any specific scene? I would have to say I love just the shots of them flying through space, doing some crazy stuff. I just thought everything. I was like, this is just
with Live and
sick.
Learn blaring in the
Live and
background.
Learn.
And
Absolute Pete.
well, and if I had to go with like visual stuff, it'd probably just be all the references. Like there's ones in games, like to the games, where you don't really have to be that eagle-eyed to see it, but to like other movies, I thought was really cool. Like that first scene with Shadow where he's breaking out, the gun soldiers that like are going to take him down. Those are just like the Hydra soldiers from the first Captain America with their like laser rifles.
Yeah.
That's like literally that. There were tons of Winter Soldier references that I alluded to before. Like you've got,
go over those.
Yeah, like one that immediately comes to mind while I'm looking for others is you've got Gerald, who is trying to eject Eggman out into space. That's like literally Bucky and Captain America on the helicarrier.
Yep.
As the Eclipse cannon is rising out of the water, that was just like the helicarriers rising out by the Triskelion. And
wait, that is insane. I didn't think that.
yeah, no, because I remember seeing that when I first saw the whatever the gun base was called. It might have just been gun headquarters. I turned to Heath and I was like, this is giving me like Triskelion vibes. And then later on you get the Eclipse cannons rising up out with one of Eggman's themes playing. But
all the themes were great.
Yeah, there were so many good references. Audio.
How'd you
visual.
like Shadow on his motorcycle with the gun?
That was good. Yeah.
So that's a thing, though, right?
Yeah. And he did the Akira slide. Where do you get your highlights?
He did the Akira slide up a building.
Yeah. The more you talk, the harder I want to hit you.
Yeah. The gun was peak.
When they were going back and forth between like present and past inside the gun base, like, you know, Shadow has the flashback, Tom Petty's playing, and then it like cuts to the record scratching because it's all dusty, and he's like in the present, all sad. Just after that is Sonic and Eggman like walking around inside Shadow and Maria's bedroom, and Sonic's like, "You ever wonder what life would be like if you had a family?" And he's like, "No," and it's like. But he has no idea that he's in his deceased cousin's childhood bedroom.
Yeah.
Like that was crazy.
No.
Yes, I know French.
Sam's stomach just made a weird noise.
Oh yeah, I'm hungry.
Hope that registered.
Yeah, I also do want to mention. So I don't know where this meme originated, but like it's a thing. People talk about Shadow loves Latinas.
Yes.
You know? And
I think that came from the Sonic Boom show.
Okay, that's probably what it was.
Not Boom, Sonic Prime.
Sonic Prime. So they low-key referenced remember when Shadow was like watching the soap opera?
Yeah.
And he's like, she should just dump them both. She's not a prize.
No, she should. I think he says he should kill them both.
Yeah, that's right.
She's not a prize to be won.
That was a low-key Shadow loves Latinas.
No, because that comes. You've sent me that meme before, where he's like, "I just love Latinas, Sonic."
Oh, what?
You've sent that to me before.
He's outing me. That's awkward. I remember sending it to you.
Okay, so more references that I just saw on my list. The shape-shifting masks that Tom and Maddie used.
It's in Winter Soldier.
Yeah. Black Widow did that in Winter Soldier. Then we've got like Tom Cruise and Mission Impossible.
Yeah.
References.
Oh yeah.
Which, you know, there's just so many good stuff in this movie. Like I could just go on and on.
Yeah. No, it is a phenomenal movie. All right, we're gonna get right into soundtrack and score, but I think Live and Learn is you just can't beat it, dude. I think it's just such a good song for this movie.
Not the Jelly Roll song in the credits.
No.
But my friend I went and watched it with, he's like, I didn't like that. I didn't like the song that they played in
the end.
It's all right.
No, I think no, dude, I freaking love Live and Learn. I couldn't stop listening to it after that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's so
Live and Learn is. I mean, that's really all I wanted to see soundtrack wise. We got it. I'm happy. You know, there were a couple other bonuses like when when Eggman's ringtone goes off and it's his theme song from Sonic Adventure 2. That was cool.
Yes, the theme called Eggman.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That Green Hill Zone on the piano.
Which, that one is actually the same one from the first movie that plays at the end. Which I thought that was interesting.
Bro, you said when they do the Sega intro for all the movies, they show their video games. They didn't do the didn't do the Sega thing. They did the intro, but they didn't say like
when it shows all the games and then
it
slides into the Sega logo and then it says Sega.
I was like, oh no, the movie's gonna suck.
Well, instead on that scene, they've always done an orchestral version of the first Sonic's invincibility theme, like na 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 na, or not invincibility, Green Hill.
Yeah.
But they do that. I thought even the music from like the 80s that they used in this was really well chosen. Like they've done this in all the movies now.
Yeah.
Mario even did it too for some reason, but to mixed effect. But in this one, I thought it was really good.
Yeah, it was more tasteful.
The first one was 99 Red Balloons, which was a cover. It wasn't the original, but it says they were racing through the forest, and to me that kind of it captured the vibe, I think, a lot, and it also reminded me of his theme from Unleashed, Endless Possibilities, which I doubt they were trying to go for, but it reminded me of it. And then at one point they got a little bit of escape from the city. I think it's when Sonic is like jumping off the bridge in London. Like there's like you hear a little bit of it there. But I wouldn't have known that if I hadn't seen it on Twitter.
And the traveling Wilburys, when Maria and Shadow, when it's kind of showing them hanging out and end of the line. Yeah, I think that was a good song for that scene.
I don't know which one you're talking about.
Yeah, it was when they were watching Godzilla and then like skating around that little montage.
Oh, I thought that was a Tom Petty song.
It is, but it was when he was part of the Traveling Wilburys.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that whole scene was really good. I know we're getting away from music, but
no, you're good.
But
all right. Any other? Moving to outro.
Galvanize. The dance battle scene.
The dance battle scene is good.
I feel like a lot of people probably would hate on that.
I've heard that song
if they had to pick something to hate on, but I just think it's so funny. Like every time I watched the movie when that came on, I was just like smile ear to ear.
It's just goofy. It's funny.
Yeah, it's so funny. Like I sent you guys the Lego version of that. Yeah, so funny.
They killed it, man. All right, you want to move into outro?
Or do we do that?
All right, as we wrap up here, I'm going to go into final thoughts here. Levi, what would you change about this movie?
That one scene in the Chow Garden after it got blown up and Commander Walters was like dying or whatever. That was like the worst acting I've ever seen.
Oh, yeah, it was a little rough.
I wonder if stuff was cut from that because like the director pulls the Polaroid of Sonic, Knuckles, and Tails out of his pocket, and it's like he never took a picture of that.
Well, they took their. I remember them taking the picture. But I don't know how he got the camera, but
okay.
The Chow.
But just like when he's laying there and he's like, Sonic, and I was like, dude, what are you doing?
You're the only person I trust. Not even my most trusted subordinate.
Sam, what would you change?
I wouldn't really change anything. I mean, I think every fan will say this, but I mean, you can't get enough of Super Sonic and Super Shadow fighting. Man. Like I could have watched that for an hour.
Yeah,
but I'm happy with what we got though.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't change much. If anything, I mean, I would say like a little bit more with Maria and Shadow, but like even then, I feel like we did kind of get a lot. I'm just not remembering it properly, but like. I don't know. I think I probably wouldn't change much. Probably, if anything, it's just solid. It's really good.
Yeah. I thought it was very good overall. Like I think it was pretty much perfectly executed. But if I had to pick one thing, I would undo the change that they did, where the Space Colony arc just becomes the Eclipse canon, because that was such a big part of Shadow's backstory in the game. And it was such a cool environment to run through in the game that I wish that had made it in. I think a lot of the other cuts that they made was just trimming the fat and streamlining the story. That's the one thing that feels like it deserved to make it into the movie.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I haven't played the game, so I would.
Yeah.
I wonder with you. Is it like a lot of like rope?
Well, so
Like a lot of like hallways of like crazy science stuff?
there's in Shadow the Hedgehog, you get a little bit of it. In Sonic Adventure 2, though, it's a lot of running around the exterior.
Okay.
So
in
it's
space.
a lot of cool, space stuff. There's like meteorites crashing down around you. Sonic and Shadow have a battle out there. Like there's a lot of cool stuff to it.
The arc is basically like as big as a moon.
Yeah.
It's a lot bigger than the movie version.
Yeah, and the Eclipse cannon in the game looks like a giant Eggman face. Like the different spires of it like kind of fan out to form the mustache.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did.
They did do it in the movie, but it was different. Like it was on top versus the cannon itself being Eggman's face, which in this case it would be his grandfather's face.
Yeah, it does look like the things from War of the Worlds.
Levi, favorite scene?
Oh, it's Super Sonic and Super Shadow fighting in front of the volcano.
Yeah, that was pretty sick. Sam?
Yeah, I mean, Super Sonic and Super Shadow flying through space, fighting the I guess in the game that they were the kind of the hunter drones.
Well, yeah, they were the like humanoid gun robots. I don't know what the names were, but
yeah, them fighting those gun robots was peak.
Well, and it was really cool because there was like a toy of one at the beginning of the movie in the control room of Shadow's place. So I thought they weren't going to be in the movie, but then like doors open up and they come flooding out. I was like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, my favorite scene is when they when Sonic and Shadow probably team up and they just go absolutely ham on all the robots, and they're like, the banter is really good. I'm just like, yes, this is awesome.
Well, I mean, the scene where they transform, it's that same one on the moon that I keep harping on, but it's like it starts off, that's Shadow's turning point, then like they dap each other and Live and Learn starts playing. Yeah, so good.
And I've been seeing all these memes like me and bro when we yada 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 whatever.
Yeah,
the Sonic and Shadow dapping up and going.
Yeah, well, and they really captured the equivalent moment from the game very well there, because they did the same thing in the game, except instead of like the column of light flashing down on them, they kind of fly up into it and hit these cool poses, and then the boss battle starts and you're in the final boss, and Live and Learn is blaring in the background.
All right, favorite performance, Levi?
I already did this. Oh,
Keanu Reeves. Yeah, I was gonna say Sam. Keanu Reeves.
Yeah, Keanu Reeves and Jim Carrey tied.
I was gonna say Jim Carrey for me.
Metallic clangs as Metal Sonic.
Oh yeah, Metal Sonic.
Bro,
that next movie is gonna be something special.
I was like, dude, who Metallic Clang? That's a sick name.
Okay, similar genre, Rex. Levi, you got any
Super Mario Bros. Movie.
Super Mario Bros. Movie? It's good. Sam?
What are we doing here?
Similar genre Rex.
Any movie or a movie you've seen that you want to rec that's good.
Ooh,
you don't have to do similar genre.
Yeah.
Me and Levi just do that.
Good movie that I have to rec. I mean,
Just anything. You could do a movie. You could do this movie.
yeah, I mean, go see Sonic the Hedgehog 3. Also, go see my favorite movie, The Shawshank
Yeah,
Redemption. It's only been out for like over 30 years, but you know, if you haven't seen it, go see it.
Time's running out.
Mine would be Sonic 1. Go watch Sonic 1. Sonic 1's good.
Yeah, 1 and 2 are both really good.
Peyton? Movie rec.
Man,
Could be anything.
anything. I'm trying to look through stuff I've watched recently, and
It was like Detective Pikachu.
yeah, I don't watch a whole. I would not be Detective Pikachu. Go watch Blade Runner 2049. It's just like this movie.
It is a good movie though, for real. But guys, thank you so much for tuning in to this awesome episode. Guys, Sam, Peyton, thank you for joining. Thank you guys for going to the movies and seeing it with us. Yeah, it's been a great episode. It's gonna be a long one again, but we have 2 guests on, so that's pretty normal for that time frame. But thank you guys so much for tuning in, listening. Please like, subscribe. Please subscribe. I'm begging you. I have a shout out. Our buddy John Slissons, his buddy. There's a YouTube YouTube short film called The Inheritance that you guys should watch. Really good. Shameless plug there, but it's whatever. Yeah. Anyway.
Is that a similar genre to Sonic 3?
No, not at all. But thank you guys so much for listening. It's been a great one. Happy New Year, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Bye. stuff.
Yeah, no, he showed us that movie last night.